Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Spiritual Superpowers. Today, we've got a super awesome episode about astrology. We have on the show with us today David Bensimon of Little Crab Astrology, and I'm just super excited to get into it.
Yay! I'm so excited to be here with you both. This is exciting.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
If someone were to come up to you and ask you, what is astrology? How would you answer that in a brief,
succinct way? It is really a recorded 2,000 plus year old study of how planetary influences and planetary movements and alignments affect us. It's such a huge realm, and there's so many different lenses of which you can choose to study astrology.
How did you become an astrologer? And I'm asking this because Dawn and I have done a lot of these interviews, and we interview people that don't have mainstream professions, and so we always find it interesting to find out what brings someone to something a little less mainstream like astrology.
And it was kind of a very organic self-study, as in like the things I was dealing with in my own life led me to study certain planets, certain aspects, certain parts of astrology. I do remember where I was when I first learned about like a rising and moon sign, and it felt like a key was given to me.
So it sounds like you got into astrology because you were looking for answers, and it sounds like you've gotten a lot of answers through your work.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
It is. I would say I had a general curiosity about people, and astrology gave me a language that I could easily understand that helped me connect more with others and myself. A lot of astrology just instantly made sense as far as how it relates to understanding one on a deeper level, and understanding, of course, yourself on a deeper level. So yeah.
Very, very cool. You mentioned language, and there were some terms that you mentioned, like rising sign and Saturn coming around or something like that. But so I'm curious to know what those are, but I think you'll probably go through them with us because you're going to do a reading for Caron and I, right?
I will. Yeah. Let's talk about cusps. You want to talk about?
And also that I didn't know my exact birth time. So how do you?
So there's a couple ways. So when someone doesn't know their exact time of birth, you told me that you were pretty sure based on your mom's recollection that it wasn't super early in the morning, wasn't at night. It was sometime in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So how that works is, I'm going to show you, I'm going to change this to like hours. So right now, I just said 1 p.m. Toronto, Eastern Standard Time. So that put your ascendant at the very end of Virgo. Now, if I go an hour ahead, it's going to be in Libra.
Yeah.
Wow. It changes that much.
Yeah. This is where it's helpful if like what I'm sharing, if it really doesn't resonate, where you could be like, I don't know, like if you don't know your time of birth at all, there's a couple techniques. You can kind of put your sun in the first house or look at solar houses. So you look at the houses based on your sun's placement, and the moon, moves every 2.5 days. So your moon at 23 degrees, we know is not going to move, unless you were born the next day. So you're definitely a Sag moon. So we know your moon sign.
Right. It'll be close anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people, astrologers. I know I was listening to an astrologer the other day. Her whole life, she thought she was a Sag rising, and it never quite felt right to her, but she just kind of was like, okay, I guess I'm that extra, embrace it. And then she finally got her birth certificate, and the time her mom had given her was not correct, and it moved her into a Capricorn rising. And it was like, oh, this is the shirt. This is exactly it. It's like, this is, okay, this is the right fit. And so I find that when you find that information, and assuming you're one way for a long time, it can seem like a identity crisis situation, but it's more just like, oh, this this feels right, or this explains that. There was something beneficial in that time of your life of perceiving yourself that way.
Right.
Except unless you're born at night, which we know you weren't, this is crazy. So this actually has you at the last 8 hours or so of Gemini. June 21st, if you look it up, you'll see like that's Cancer, because typically it is. But then when you look at your chart and you look at like what's happening, like maybe like if you're born, in a different region, like a different hemisphere, like that time it would be Cancer, but this just so happens you're like the last moments of Gemini. And so I will describe this about cusps. When you're at the last degrees of a sign, it is like an employee that has put in their 2 weeks notice and knows everything about they need to know about that job, has a lot of wisdom and knowledge, and knows everything about the job, but is kind of over it and ready for the next thing. Then when you're 0 degrees, you are like that brand new employee that the trainee that is being trained by the seasoned employee. But I mean, Geminis are the communicator, the messengers, the zodiac. And, with Mercury and Cancer, what you convey and communicate is Cancer energy. This is crazy. Like, I don't want to like blow anyone's mind, but how does that feel to you? Is it weird? Because I think
that's what I want to know too. Like, Caron, how do you feel?
Okay, let's get into this a little bit before we get into the specifics, because what I hadn't told you, and some of our listeners know, but maybe not many, is I also am a twin.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So do all of these things.
Shocker after shocker.
Well, and the other thing is my mother didn't know she was having twins until the first one of us was born. Can you imagine that?
Whoa.
Yeah.
You're bringing up like every hot topic in astrology. Like, well, what about twins? How does astrology account for twins? Whoa.
Yeah, sorry, babe, that may be
that is like
a whole other episode.
The understanding you may have, like my sister is a 29 degree Gemini, and she there's so much about Cancer that she registers with, and that she likes to see in herself, but she still operates very much like a Gemini. And you being a communicator to animals, and having that in the ninth house of the whole sign house. And again, ninth house having to do with not just long distance travel or traveling abroad, but also higher learning education. And then on a spiritual sense, our belief system. And then also more specifically, divination practices and things of that nature. So Geminis are one of the most generous zodiac signs I've ever met. I think the generosity of Geminis is not touted enough. And I think that Gemini is about sharing information, as all the air signs is so much about sharing and about hey, I want everyone to have this knowledge. I'm the messenger. I don't want to hold this knowledge just for myself so that I can lord power over you. I want you to have, knowledge and the power. Some of the greatest hip hop artists are Geminis because they are trying to bring the information to the people in a mass way. And I think that, the duality of Gemini, I think is where a lot of people are Gemini is they don't, they're one way this time and then another way they're this way. And it's really about we all have that duality. Mm-hmm. Gemini is forced with having to look at that duality and really see it and to harmonize that duality. And we all have that duality. Some of us maybe block it out and only present one thing and ignore this other part of ourselves. But I think that, Gemini shows us that we all possess that duality and we all have to face it. First house is a physical body. Second house is having food, shelter. Third house is being able to communicate. Fourth house is having a home, a place to live. Fifth house, though, is the first time where it's it's about your expression of self.
I find this.
Let's keep going. Yeah. Okay. See, this is cool because now I'm getting the Gemini vibe, which is the curiosity and wanting to have the knowledge of each thing and wanting to know a little bit about everything, this is great. Okay. So sixth house, is, I think we kind of mentioned it before, but is your like day-to-day life, is health and wellness, how you take care of yourself, medical concern, small animals are a big part of the sixth house, being of service to others, and how you use your day, you know, how you break down the individual hours of your day, the quality of your life, the quality of each day. I feel like that adage, like, take care of the days and the years take care of themselves. That's a big like sixth house thing. Seventh house is partnership, relationships, the other people in our lives. It's the other. It is also where our descendant is, and descendant has a lot to do with how you're perceived by others and the other people that come into your life. So, yeah, that's the seventh house. Eighth house is where we get into both a sense of mortality, although I will say in ancient astrology, seventh house was also associated with endings and even death, because it was where the sun set. But modern astrology and parts of ancient astrology too, eighth house has to do with the life-death cycle, mortality, also has to do with shared resources. Eighth house has to do with the money we receive from our partners, from the government, like taxes lives here, but it's also like money that is owed to us from other entities, not specifically through our income or our jobs. Eighth house is also kind of a psychic or psychological exploration, is where we can get into occult matters, into deeper, we could go down rabbit holes of different areas. We can get really tunneled and really focused in. Also, we'll say eighth house, for some, speaks to their fears and speaks to kind of things they have to work out through psychology, through mental health care, through various forms of therapy, Reiki, like different forms of therapy, and things where we can regenerate, where we can have life-death cycles, meaning things end, but new things begin. Ninth house is traveling abroad, going great distances, the experiences that and wisdom that we gain from that long distance travel, higher learning, going away to learn, mentorship, becoming a mentor yourself or being mentored, spiritual practices, religion, beliefs, divination, oracle-esque areas. 10th house is career, ambition, our most public sector, where we're living out our dharma, where we're going out in the world every day and building something. It is about reaching a goal, what we commit to, and what legacy defines our life and what we leave behind. 11th house is group, networks, friends, also hopes and dreams, especially in a humanitarian sense of having hope and dreams for the world to be a more inclusive and well-rounded place. It can speak to rules like adoption, foster care. On side notes, social media is big here. Our group, sports teams, friends, networks, political parties that we affiliate with. 11th house could be like giving funds and supporting nonprofits and like supporting organizations that have a humanitarian angle. Yeah. So lastly, 12th house in ancient astrology has it's hard to find good things about it. It is where people were exiled or removed from society, ruled jails, mental institutions back in the day. And so now the 12th house is a sacred space. And so like modern astrology, and even I believe the 12th house is, like I said, where hidden talents exist, where our connection to the divine, where connection to other timelines, other dimensions, all of that stuff exists. I think 12th house is such a sacred and special place. And it's amorphous. It's not fully defined. And I think that you can go as deep as you want into your subconscious, and you can pull up as many things as you choose to, or you can remain unconscious. That's why 12th house also rules like drugs, other things that can put you in a state of, like psychedelics, which it can be an altering, opening state of mind. You know what I mean?
Right.
Such an amazing job. Yeah. Like I'm still blown. I think, as Caron said, we have to digest because there's so much information.
And you can reach out with questions or follow-ups, or for sure. Yeah, it takes, I always tell my clients, like, let it process. That's why I like, record the session. I'll send you notes, but let it process. Not everything will stick, but the things that are important will stick.
And so when, if people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way to get to you?
So if you want to find my very plucky brand of astrology on Instagram, I'm at Little Crab Astrology. My website is littlecrabastrology.com. You can book a session with me in my consultation page. You can also gift consultations, and you can email me littlecrabastrology@gmail. And yeah, I love meeting people, talking to new people. So feel free to reach out.
And we'll include all those links in the description box below.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. This was fun.
So, Caron.
I'm a Gemini. After all these years thinking I was Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cool.
It was mind-blowing.
Yeah. So,
All these years.
Thought
you were Cancer, and it turns out you're a Gemini. Yeah. You know what? I want to do another reading with him. I want to go into a little bit more detail.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just really neat how accurate it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's so knowledgeable too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think there's so much more to delve into.
And I really like that he has different types of readings too.
Yeah.
So we'll include a link to his website below where you can look at getting an intro reading. You can get a more in-depth reading. You can get a relationship reading.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for watching.
Yep. And I hope you like this video. And if you did, make sure you give us the thumbs up and then subscribe if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another episode.
Because we have more coming up with David. Yeah, stay tuned for more episodes and scroll down, click on his website, follow him on Instagram, and look into getting your own reading. I know I'm giving them away as gifts because I just think they're that cool.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye.